Together with Earle Sports Bets, yeah, the twins, they be checking in. Stacking up, green is the scene that you're stepping in. Winning is a trend, and we stay making dollars. Nerd talk with the sports bet scholars. Yeah, it's R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies. R.I.P. to the bookies.
Are live. Welcome back to another edition of the Earle Sports Bet Show. My name is Earle. Just me today, as we have 5 games in the NBA and I think like 8 in the NHL. So not an overly packed card for today, but definitely some games to go over in general. But we'll quickly recap yesterday, and then we will get into today's card. It was, let me see, a slightly profitable day for me. I had 13 plays I put up. I was up 0.9 units. So, profit's profit. Any day in the black is a good day. College basketball went, what was it? 2-1. Lost with App State minus 10.5. They lost outright, Appalachian State there. And then Houston minus 9 covered, and UNCG money line covered 1 as well. They beat UTSA, so 2-1 in college basketball. And in hockey, went 1. What was it? 1 and really? I only won one thing in hockey yesterday. 1-4 in hockey yesterday. That's not good. Got the Minnesota Wild plus 145. The free pick video I did. Got that. Over 5.5 LA and Florida, 3-0 Florida final. So that was kind of surprising there. LA got blanked. They play again today. We'll talk about them in a little bit. And then we had the what was it? The Preds minus 1 in the over, and it finished 3-1 Canucks. So not a good result from that game either. But the NBA was good for me last night, as I went, I believe, 4-2 yesterday. Under 205, Charlotte and Brooklyn, 104-83. So that game tanked under, even at the low number of 205. Sacramento minus 8.5, they lose outright. Doubled up on Boston, came through with them there, minus 9 first half, minus 14.5 full game. They win by the first half by 16. They win the full game by 22. So a nice double winner there. Lost with Denver plus 3.5. Took a shot, whatever. And then New Orleans plus 2. They lose by 1. So got the cover. But they didn't win outright at a plus 2. That's kind of interesting there. So nice one there. But profitable day yesterday for me. Up a little bit less than the unit. But we'll head over to the chat, and then we'll get into today's card. Tim couldn't show up because the Knicks just embarrassed his team. I mean, it was a close competitive game throughout, and then I think the Knicks just ran away with it late, if I remember right. So I don't know. Best bet Raptors first quarter minus 2. Okay. Care to comment on the site disaster? Tim runs the NBA. And it wasn't a good day for him yesterday in the NBA. They're playing simple. Where I contributed did fine. So we'll move on. Cleveland Cavaliers and the Atlanta Hawks. The Cavaliers 10-point favorites, total 238 in this game. This line has moved up since I typed up this morning. It opened up at a 240, got all the way down to a 236.5. It's now a 238. So we do have a move towards the under since the opening line. And this line opened up at a 9.5. It's now a 10. So a half-point line movement towards the Cavaliers here as well. Taking a look at the cash flow for these games here. Let's shift this over to today. 59% of tickets, 66% of the cash on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Line has gone from a 9.5 to a 10. Line opened up, or 58% of tickets, 51% of cash on the over. Line's moving slightly down. So we do have an Atlanta Hawks team that has been more of an under team as of late. And even though they started off really strong with the overs, 2-7-1 over under the last 10 games. On the flip side, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have been a strong over team this year, 31-16 to the over. Yet this line's moving down a little bit. It's Cleveland or nothing. If I'm playing, I'm laying. With the way the market's coming in on this game, shows that this could probably be a game where Cleveland takes care of business. Atlanta's been struggling a little bit. 6 straight losses. They have covered in the last 2 games. They were 4.5-point dogs against Houston. They lost by 4. They were 10.5-point dogs against Minnesota. They lost by 8. So they covered the last 2 games there. But I see this as a spot where we saw, and this is a double revenge spot in November, back-to-back games, and they were double-digit wins for Atlanta for that one there. So that's actually pushing me more towards Cleveland. I want to see what the best available number is. Actually, the more and more I look at this, the more and more I want Cleveland in this game. Sharp money on them. The line moving slightly towards them. We got the double revenge from earlier in the season. And it looks like we're seeing 10s across the board. 9.5 all over on BetMGM. That's where I'm going to get my day started. Cleveland minus 9.5. Minus 115 over on BetMGM. So that's where we're gonna go for this one here. Where we're gonna lay them with. We're gonna lay it with the Caps. LOL. Blame Tim. Okay, fair. Hold my nose and go under. Hawks have been going under lately. Yeah, I wonder who mentioned that a little while ago. So, Lakers are at the Wizards. We have the Lakers 8.5-point favorites, total of 223.5. Let's take a look at the line history here. Line opened up at a 6. It's down 8.5. So we have a decent move towards the Lakers. No surprise. Nobody wants the Wizards. The Wizards are the worst team in basketball. So fading them has been a very easy thing to do this year. Doesn't take much to fade this Wizards team. And this line opened up 224.5. It's down to 223.5. This is a Wizards team that's less than a double-digit dog now, though. But which we've rarely seen. 78% of tickets, 75% of cash on the Lakers. With the line moving towards the Lakers at least. So if you do like the Lakers, at least the market's moving towards it with the money coming in on them. 75% of tickets, 72% of the cash is on the over here as well. There's better cards on the slate than this one. Better games on the slate than this one. Wow, mixed that up. I'm not laying 8.5 on the road with the Lakers, who are 10-13 on the road. They are coming in off of a bad loss. That is one thing. They're coming in off of a 14-point loss against the Philadelphia 76ers in the last game. However, they play the lowly Washington Wizards, and they get to head to Madison Square Garden next game on February 1st. So something to keep an eye on as well. The Wizards are just continuing to lose. I believe it's 14 or 15 straight games for them. They are now 6-40 this season. Just putrid. They're coming in off of that blowout loss against the Toronto Raptors. This team does not care. It would be Lakers or nothing, but I am A-okay staying off of this spot. So Lakers or nothing now. How in the world could Tim take the Wiz money line yesterday? Okay. AD is out, but should it matter? No, it shouldn't matter. An AHL team, a G League team could potentially beat the Washington Wizards right now. They're basically a G League team there. We'll continue on. 3 games remaining in the NBA, and then we can move into the NHL. We do have the Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Utah Jazz. We have the T-Wolves around 7-point road favorites, total 224 in this game. Line opened up at a 7.5. It's down to a 7. Line opened up at a 223. It's now 224. So we have a 1-point line movement towards the over, as well as a slight move towards the Jazz. 81% of tickets, 80% of the cash is on the Timberwolves, and the line's moving slightly towards the Jazz. 79% of tickets and 84% of cash on the over. At least the line's moved a point towards the over for those who want to back said over. And we have the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are coming in on 4 straight wins against Dallas, Denver, Atlanta, and Phoenix. On the flip side, we have the Utah Jazz, who are struggling. They have lost 7 in a row. They've covered in 3 of them, though. So they're 3-4 ATS their last 10 games. Even though they're not winning, they are covering some on some games. And then really, this would be Jazz or nothing for me. I do not trust the Minnesota Timberwolves laying a number on the road like this. They are 14-11 on the road. I will give them that. But This is a team that I would rather take as a dog on the road than a favorite on the road. So this would be Utah or nothing, especially with the way the market's moving. I do think that it's presenting an opportunity that Utah is a live dog in this game. At plus 7.5, I'd lean that way. I might get to it. I might. I'm not 100% sure yet. But it would be Jazz or nothing for me. Jazz or nothing. Yeah. Shocked the Wolves won last night. Maybe a letdown. I'm not shocked they won. I leaned Wolves I believe I leaned Wolves yesterday. Slightly. And I kind of liked them in that spot, but didn't get involved with them. I'm not shocked they won. It was a pick 'em. But we'll move on. Probably the marquee matchup of the day, really. This is the best overall matchup, Memphis and Houston. We just saw these two teams go at each other not too long ago on a back-to-back. We have Memphis 5-point favorites, total of 238. This line opened up at around a 2.5, and it's all the way up to a 5 now. So that's telling me there's probably an injury. Not really. Sagoon is day-to-day, and so is Adams. But really, that's not a huge injury list. Why this line has moved 2.5 points, I do not know. Memphis is coming in off of a embarrassing blowout loss. Not embarrassing, but like a blowout loss, 143 to 106 in their last game. So you would think maybe this could be a nice little bounce back spot for them. We have a Houston team coming in feeling good. They've won 4 in a row against Cleveland, Boston, and Atlanta. So, dang, 3 wins in a row against Cleveland twice and Boston. It's very impressive what this Houston Rockets team is doing. My line opened up at a 236.5. It's now 238, so it'll move towards the over here as well. I would only look Memphis in this game. That would be the only way I would look. The only thing is when the line has moved 2.5, 3 points, I don't know if I particularly want to jump on the Grizzlies now with the line moving that much. But yeah, it would be Memphis or nothing if I'm getting involved in this game. But overall, I think the lines move too much there. Yeah. I won all the contests played yesterday. Can I see the leaderboard? What? We're not running a contest. But whatever. Orlando Magic, Portland Trailblazers, -5. The Orlando Magic total 212.5. Ugly, kind of an ugly matchup here in this one. Line opened up at a 4.5. It's now a 5 for Orlando. Line opened up 211. It's now 212.5. So we do have a move towards the Magic and a move towards the, I want to say the over, right? Let me re-click that. Yeah, towards the over in this one here, which is kind of surprising with the way Orlando has been playing as of late, playing a bunch of unders. We do have 44% of tickets and 51% of cash is on the Magic, and the line's moving slightly towards them. We have 80% of tickets and 86% of cash on the over, and the line's moving towards said over there. The Magic have been struggling a little bit. They were keeping it together for a while, and they've fallen apart as of late. Losing 8 of their last 10 games, kind of struggling there. Now seeing them 5.5 point road favorites is kind of interesting, especially with a team that so many people have been making money on, the Portland Trailblazers. The Blazers have covered in 6 in a row. They've won 5 of 6. The only game they didn't cover, they were 13.5 point favorites. Or the only game they didn't win, they were 13.5 point dogs, and they lost by 10. So yeah, as much as I would be like, yeah, let's jump right back on the Portland Trailblazers. It's just not, everything did not correlate for me in order to pull the trigger on it. I would lean towards the Portland Trailblazers in this game if I'm getting involved with it. But overall, not a great card on the NBA today. The only game I'll be paying attention to is, I guess, Cleveland Cavaliers minus the 9.5. That's the only play I got to in the NBA. But hey, this card did not look like an appealing card whatsoever. So yeah. OMG, what? No way the Magic can be favored by 5. That means give me the Magic. Fair. We'll move on. We have the battle of 2 nations' capitals, Washington and Ottawa. With it being a pick'em total of 5.5 in this game. Let me get up my hockey numbers here. There we go. We have I have this game projected. Let me get that up. There we go. I have this game projected for the Capitals to be around -110 in this game, so I do think the pick'em number is correct in this spot. I have this game projected for 5.81 goals, so I think the 5.5 is correct in this spot as well. Let's take a dive into a little bit of the situationals for this game as well. I don't think situationally this is a good spot for Washington. This is a team coming in on the 5th game of a 5-game road trip, and they went through the Pacific Northwest, Edmonton, Seattle, Vancouver, Calgary, and now they are heading home, or now before they can head home, they are heading to Ottawa. So kind of a tricky spot where you've had this West Coast road trip. Now you have to make a random stop in Ottawa before you can head home to play Winnipeg and Florida, 2 probably bigger games to them. On the flip side, we have Ottawa coming in off of back-to-back wins. They won 3-1 against Utah, 2-1 against the Maple Leafs. Both these teams have been solid under teams. You look at the last 10 games combined for both these teams, 1-19 to the under. The Capitals have gone under in 10 straight games, 3-1, 2-1, 3-0, 2-3, 4-1, 1-0, 3-0, 4-1, 3-2, and 2-1. Washington's just riding goaltending right now is what they're doing because they're giving up 2.85 expected goals against. Yeah, and they're giving up less than that, obviously. I think this line is all priced correctly situationally. It's a good spot for Ottawa, who gets to stay at home for the 3rd straight game. They get one more game on this homestand against Minnesota. And this is a terrible situational spot for the Capitals with their travel and everything along those lines. Am I getting involved with this game? No, I'm not. It would be just situationally, it'd be a lean towards Ottawa, but I'm not pulling the trigger, which means this will be the game that actually the Capitals lose because I'm not betting against them. So, yeah, lean Ottawa for me, but no play. If this guy takes the Caps again, I'm at, okay. You know you don't have to spam. Okay, cool. I didn't bet the game. Relax. Let's move on. The Winnipeg Jets and the Boston Bruins, -135 for the Winnipeg Jets, total 5.5. Let me get up my projections for this game here. I had this game projected around -130 for the Winnipeg Jets. I think this line's correct. And I have this game projected for 6.06 goals. So I do have this game projected for slightly an over in this game. Now, we have a Winnipeg team that's been a strong under team this year. That's one thing that they have done pretty well with is actually they're 23, 26, and 3, but they're a strong defensive team. They have not given up more. They've given up 2 or fewer goals in 4 straight games in 8 of their last 10. So this has been a strong defensive team for Winnipeg. On the flip side, Boston, defensively, I mean, they're coming in off a game. They gave up 7 goals against the Buffalo Sabres in their last game there. And I mean, I would think you would bounce back from that game. And that's ultimately, I think, what's going to keep me off of the under or the over in this game. I think Boston can bounce back defensively a little bit after an embarrassing effort like that. But yet we've seen them give up more than 4 goals in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their last 10 games. So you're giving up that many goals that consistently. That's a problem defensively that the Boston Bruins have. They're also giving up 3.707 expected goals against over those games on average. So I do think this is an over spot. If you're looking for a play in this game, I kind of want to take a look what type of number I can get on it, because I believe we saw nothing but unders yesterday. I think we could see a little bit more overs today. And I would like to move on this over 5.5. I am going to move on the over 5.5 -110. Last time these two teams played, it was an 8-1 win for Winnipeg. But for me, I'm going to get my NHL card started. This line should be a 6. I'm getting a 5.5. I'm going to go ahead Boston and Winnipeg over the total in this one here. There we go. Okay. Moving on. The Los Angeles Kings and the Tampa Bay Lightning -135 for the Lightning, total 5.5 in this game. Taking a look at the projections for this game here for me, I have this game priced Tampa around -145 and for it to be a 6.44 goal. So everything correlates actually, because this is also Also, they'll when we look at what these teams have done last, you guys know exactly where I'll go with this because we have the LA Kings who played last night against the Florida Panthers. They got shut out 3-0. We have a team off of a shutout loss. I'm getting minus 125 over on Bet365. I'm taking the over 5.5, minus 125 in this game. When we look at this Kings team, yeah, they've been a better under team than over team this year. But the team coming off the shutout loss, that's what I like to back here. And my projections have this game closer towards a 6.5 rather than a 5.5. So everything kind of correlates for me here to pull the trigger on the over in this one, in this game. Is it a little bit tricky taking overs in Kings games? Sometimes. But I think everything kind of correlates here for me in this one. I also kind of do lean towards maybe Lightning in this game, but not at the minus 140 price tag, minus 135, minus 40. I think that line's kind of correct, but maybe a slight edge on Tampa in this game. But overall, it is just the over 5.5 for me here. I don't trust Boston anymore. Me neither. Lightning all day and night. Kings are worn out. Let's see if Tim copies 446. Well, Tim's not here, so we'll move on. We have the Carolina Hurricanes minus 415 favorites in this game with a total of 6. Just a monster number here on the Carolina Hurricanes, a team that's been very inconsistent this year. Now, do I have them projected as favorites? Yeah, I think that's pretty simple to say. My numbers are on minus 240 for them, though. So seeing a plus 300 for Chicago is kind of interesting. Chicago, coming in off of a win, I believe, in their last game against Tampa Bay. They won 4-1 in that game. And now we're seeing minus 500s. I feel like I got to take something on the Blackhawks in this game. The Carolina Hurricanes are 9-1 in their last 10 games against against these Blackhawks. Chicago coming in off of a win. They've been a little bit more scrappy as of late. They've received points in 4 of their last 5 games, including wins against Tampa Bay and Vegas, overtime games against Tampa Bay and Carolina, and the only regulation loss was against the Minnesota Wild. On the flip side with the Carolina Hurricanes, they're coming in winning 5 of their last 6 games. The only game they lost, 3-2 in overtime against the New York Islanders. They're coming in off of a very satisfying shutout win against the team that knocked them out last year in the New York Rangers. There is no way I'm laying any type of number with the Carolina Hurricanes in this game. As a matter of fact, I want to take a look at what the 2.5 number is on the Chicago Blackhawks, and I'm getting 2.5 minus 130 over on ESPN Bet. Yeah, I don't take puck lines like this often, but I'll take plus 2.5 minus 130 with the Chicago Blackhawks in this game. When I take puck lines, either the minus 1.5 or they're plus 2.5. And at the 130 price tag, I got to take a shot here with the plus 2.5 on the Blackhawks. I think this is a good number. They've been a team that's been keeping it scrappy as of late, and it's a Carolina Hurricanes team I do not trust right now, especially as monster favorites. So plus 2.5 minus 130 first side of the day for me is the Chicago Blackhawks here. Let's see, I meant Nick. Okay. I would take a shot with Chicago. I threw a half unit on it. Yeah, I took the plus 2.5 puck on. If Chicago can win in Tampa, why not in Carolina? Let's do it. Plus 360. Hey, at least, you're making a little bit of progress. At least you're not taking Carolina money line at minus 500 like you like to do and calling that a lock. So I guess that's progress. Progress for you there. I'll plug in my laptop so it don't die. There we go. Yeah, at least I'm seeing a little bit of progress from you where you're looking at taking shots at big dogs rather than monster favorites and calling them locks and then getting overly excited when monster favorites win. So there you go. We'll move on. The Minnesota Wild taking on the Montreal Canadiens. Les Habitants. This one here, minus 125 range for the Hurricane or for the Canadiens. Total of 6 in this game. Now, we did back the Wild last night, plus 145 against the Toronto Maple Leafs. It was a spot I really liked. Now, the ultimate question is, do we back Montreal? And I think the answer is no. Like, for side perspective, if they were a dog, it'd be more interesting. I have this game projected at minus 120 for Montreal. I think this line is correct for the Canadiens in this game. I think the only thing I would kind of lean towards is over 6 in this game. I do have this game projected for around 6.4-ish goals. So I do see this as potentially a little bit more of a higher scoring game. That being said, do I think this is a matchup where I would like to go ahead and bet an over? Not really. I think we've kind of lost the magic on the Montreal Canadiens. They've now lost 3 in a row. They've given up at least 4 goals in all 3 of those games. 4-2 loss, a 4-3 loss, a 4-1 loss. So kind of the magic is feeling kind of gone in the they're feeling kind of gone in the in Montreal at the moment. But with that being said, it's a second half of a back-to-back for Minnesota, and this usually you back the team missing their star player the first game, you fade them the second game. It would be Montreal or nothing for me if I am betting this game, but not what I'm getting involved with, so it's a pass. I would never take a hockey team minus 500. Football, yes. NBA, yes. MLB sometimes, but I think MLB is the sport you should never take a minus 400, minus 500 favorite. As you guys see during the regular season, I fade every single minus 300 favorite, no matter who's on the mound, no matter what. And I've been profitable the last few years doing that. That's a main reason why I was a big reason why I was profitable last year is because the minus 300 fade, I believe, was up like 9 or 10 units on just a blind bet. And if you can make a blind bet year after year after year and know you're going to take home a couple units every year, why not do it? We'll move on, though. The New York Islanders are at the Philadelphia Flyers. The Isles minus 120 road favorites, total of 5.5 in this game. I will be on the total in this game. I will be on the over in this game because we have the Philadelphia Flyers coming off the shutout loss last night. Even though I believe I do have this game projected. I have this game projected at 5.5. So I think the total, the number is correct, but with it being the team off the shutout loss, it's just a plain and simple system play for me here in this one. It's a big game for both teams because if you're the New York Islanders, this could be a spot where I believe you pass the Flyers with a win. Yes, you're 1 point behind the Flyers with 3 games in hand. This is a big game for them, and the Islanders with a win tonight could pass the Rangers too, as well. With it would be no games in hand, but they'd be a point up on the Rangers if they can win this game. If they win in regulation, they'd be tied with the Rangers, they would still be above the Rangers, but they would be tied with the Flyers still, with 2 games, with 3 games in hand. I'm going to be on the over 5.5 in this game. My numbers have projected value on the Flyers. However, I'm not betting against this Islanders team right now. They have really picked it up, and I don't trust. I don't think this Philadelphia Flyers team is good whatsoever. It's a Flyers team that I had projected for last in the Metro early to start the year, and I'm kind of still sticking towards that because this is a Flyers team where they are on a second half of a back-to-back, a third game in 4 days, so it's not a good spot for them. Granted, you're coming off of an embarrassing loss, but still, this has been a team that's been playing a lot of hockey as of late, and a Flyers team I do not trust at all. So I'm only going to be on the over 5.5 in this game, which I can get at a minus 110 over on ESPN Bet. So over 5.5 for me in this game, with the Flyers coming off the shutout loss. Other than that, no play on the side. Wild on a back-to-back. Canadians should never be a fade. The juice is over for them. Give me the Montreal. All right. Flyers on a back-to-back have to take the Isles, right? You don't have to, but yeah. System plays in effect today. Always feed the team on a back-to-back first period, hitting for me over 60%. I would actually really like to go back and actually take a look what the number is behind that, because I have a feeling that number probably gets stronger as the year goes along. In the beginning of the year, I don't think back-to-backs are as important. And for me, it's not back-to-backs. It's a back-to-back on a third game in 4 nights. Like that's the worst situation, I think, if you're looking at like what the Flyers are in tonight, where it's the second half of back-to-back and it's the third game in 4 nights. That's where I'm more worried about rather than just the second half of back-to-back. So if you had like a couple days off and then you play a back-to-back, I'm not as worried. But if you're playing consistently and then a third game in 4 nights, that's where I get worried about a team. So, but we'll move on. The Detroit Red Wings and the Edmonton Oilers. We have the Oilers minus 250 favorites in this game. Total 6.5. So very rare 6.5, and I 100% agree that it should be a 6.5. My projections are 6.74 goals for that. And I have this game projected for the Oilers to be around minus 130 range. Like I don't know like why the Red Wings are getting priced the way they are. I don't think the Red Wings are that bad. And they've been playing a lot better as of late. And they are a big dog in this game that I would like to take a shot on. And they're coming in on 3 straight wins, and they do hit the road. But they've had a few days off since their 5-2 win over the LA Kings. And on the flip side, we do have the Edmonton Oilers. This is their looks like their 5th game on a 6-game homestand. They've won 3 in a row. The only game they lost is that 3-2 loss against Washington, where they outplayed them and still lost. And both these teams are hot right now. I think at the end of the day, I mean, this is obviously Detroit or nothing. It's just whether or not I want to fade the Oilers. And I think the answer is maybe. At this number, I'm very interested in doing so. But these are 2 teams I'd rather bet on than bet against right now. I've been on the Oilers a decent amount as of late. I did fade them last game, but they were monster favorites against Seattle, and that was, I think, a closer game than people think. And I have been on Detroit the last few games as well. I didn't have them against Montreal, but I had them against Tampa Bay. I had them against LA. Kind of want to go back to the well and take them here against the Oilers. Let's just take a look what the number is, the best available number for me that I can get, because plus 225 over on BetMGM is very tempting, very, very tempting here to take a shot on the big dog. So I'll lean in that direction with that. So, yeah. Nick making sense now, improving. Huh? Oilers, Islanders, money line, parlay, plus 147. Yeah, Isle is better enough. I didn't say I would bet the Islanders. And one thing I am worried about the Islanders is that they had they're on a 5-game winning streak, and now they have to switch cities. Like, that's my ultimate worry with them, is that hitting the road can hurt them more than help them. So that's one thing I would be a little bit concerned about as well. We'll move on. Calgary Flames, Anaheim Ducks. We have the Flames around minus 165 favorites, total 6 in this game. I think the line's pretty spot on. I have this game projected for 6.03 goals. And I have this game projected for Flames around minus 150. The Ducks are coming in off of, I believe, a nice win in their last game. They played the Kraken, and they beat the Kraken there. And this is a Ducks team that is very consistently inconsistent. Like, their last 7 games, they lost 4 in a row, and now they've won 3 in a row. They beat Pittsburgh, Nashville, Seattle, so not the greatest of teams, but they lost to Florida, Tampa Bay, Washington. So when they're punching higher above their pay grade, that's where they struggle. But when they're playing teams along middle or below average teams, that's when they can get their wins. And this is a Calgary team that, I mean, I don't particularly trust, but I trust them more in Calgary than I do on the road. So in the Saddle Dome, they're 15-7-3 this year, so they are a better home team than they are a road team. I think this line's about correct. I'm not seeing minus 170 ranges. Yeah, I mean, I guess gun to head, I would take a shot with the Ducks as a dog, but overall, not a game I'm getting involved with here in this game. But I think the Ducks are a little bit of a live dog. No negativity, Nick. Please stop it. Isles win. Don't want to hear concerns. Don't jinx me. I'm just giving my arguments on why I didn't bet the Islanders. So, and you said you'd blame me. I did not say to bet the Islanders today. I said bet the over. I would never lay minus 165 I would have to agree with that as well. If we were talking Flames minus 120, minus 125, yeah, I'd be interested in Calgary in this game, but not at that number. We'll move on though. The Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Golden Knights minus 240 favorites with a total 6.5 in this game. I do have this game projected at 6.58 goals, so I think the total is correct. I have this game projected sidewise around a minus 190 range, so seeing them around minus 240 kind of does pique my interest a little bit in Columbus. Columbus, I believe, has kind of slowed down a little bit as of late. After being on a nice little run there, I believe they haven't played in a minute. That's what it was. They've won 2 of their last 3 games, with their only loss being a 7-4 loss against the Carolina Hurricanes. They were plus 350 15 plus 320 range in that game. On the flip side, we have the Vegas Golden Knights. They're coming in off of an overtime loss against the Dallas Stars, and they kind of struggle a little bit as of late. A Vegas team that's has been really strong this year is now 3-5-2 in their last 10 games. So at this number, it's probably Columbus or no bet. But I really don't want to fade Vegas after a loss. They've been a pretty strong team after a loss this year, other than a little bit of a losing streak they got going a couple games ago. But other than that, they've been a pretty good team that I do not want to fade after a loss. And at this number, I just don't see enough value on Columbus to go ahead and bet them. It'd be a lean towards CBJ, but that's about it. Yeah. I bet you smell at plus 1,000, but it was totally worth the chalk. There you go. Yeah. Can I get on some of that action as well, Cody? Final game of the night, the Seattle Kraken taking on the San Jose Sharks. We have the Kraken are on 185 favorites with a total of 6. Another game where I don't have too much projected value in this game. I have this game projected for 6.35 goals, so I'm slightly leaning towards an over in this game if I'm looking at the side or looking at the total. And I have this game projected around minus 180 for the Kraken. So I think this line is about right if you're looking for the side in this game. The Kraken are on back-to-back losses in 3 of the last 4. The only game they've won in the last four games was against Pittsburgh. It was a 4-1 victory on the 25th. On the flip side, we have San Jose, who snapped their 6-game losing streak with a 2-1 win over the Pittsburgh Penguins. So both these teams, their most recent wins was coming against those flightless birds from Pittsburgh. And overall, for me, it'd be a lean towards an over 6 in this game if I'm getting involved at all. However, not enough of a edge for me to really go after this game. So really, for me, it's 4 plays in hockey today, and 3 of them over 5.5. Just not much value on today's card if you're looking to bet the NHL, which is unfortunate because it's a decent sized card. But that is it for me. That's another pass here for this one. Yeah. How good would it be if they if they had a player that was killed? Was he a different figure? Yeah, absolutely he was. Johnny Gaudreau, he was a top liner. He was one of their best players. So yeah. Kraken stink pass. Glad 446 safe chat, whatever. Slouched in a creaky chair. There's stains, shirts, clings around the belly, surrounded by empty cans and pizza boxes. The basement air is thick with body odor, stale food, and unwashed laundry as they reach for another greasy handful of chips. Jesus Christ. That's so good. Oh, man, that's hilarious. But that is going to wrap it up for this one here. Just 4 plays in the NHL, 1 in the NBA for me today. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you guys haven't already, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys are notified each and every time we are live here at Earle SportsBets, which is every single morning, anywhere between 10 and 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. I want to thank you guys as always for watching, and good luck.